talking about protection of subjects and the participants of the study. The integrity and ethics in scientific research are a concern for the entire professional community within a discipline. We have the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research, which was established in 1974 and prepared the Belmont Report in 1979, which is the foundation for conduct of research in the United States. The Belmont Report established 3 basic principles for protecting human subjects in research studies: respect for persons, the ethical recognition of individuals as autonomous agents whose decisions are to be honored, beneficence, the ethical obligation to protect individuals from harm and to maximize possible benefits and minimize possible harms, and justice, the ethical requirement that the selection of individuals, as well as the distribution of benefits and burdens, be fair and unbiased. Institutional review boards were established to ensure that respect, beneficence, and justice are maintained, and they are at colleges, universities, hospitals, and other institutions that conduct research with human subjects. The IRB board will include 5 or more members from the community with diverse backgrounds, both, like I said, within the community, within the university, within the hospital, and then they also have external people on the boards. Approval from the IRB that the study protocol adheres to ethical principles will be listed in the methods section. So you'll see this study was approved by the IRB board of St. John's University. Separate from an IRB is an IRB for animals, and it's called the Institutional Animal Care and Use of Committee. So if you're working on animals and not human subjects, you would submit to that board. And that ensures the responsible and ethical conduct of research involving animals, that the animals are treated humanely. All participants have to sign an informed consent, a voluntary informed consent to participate. This document will also have to be approved by the IRB board. It is the cornerstone of ethical research conduct. Potential subjects need to be made aware of the nature and the purpose of the study, and the form has to include all important information presented in understandable language. So no jargon, no big terms that the person participating in the study might not understand. If the person is not fluent in English, then you provide the document in their language of choice. Consent forms can vary depending on the nature of the study. There are several basic elements: statements that the study involves research, so an explanation of the purpose of the research, a description of the materials that were used, the procedures that are to be followed, and the expected duration of participation. There's also going to be a description of any risks posed by the procedures, any discomfort that might be experienced, for example, sitting for a long period of time or having a probe in your ear. Description of any potential benefits for them or for others. In terms of compensation, you'll be paid $20 an hour for your time, or you will receive an audiological evaluation. Statements about privacy are also in the informed consent, and the degree of confidentiality that will be maintained. It's going to identify the researcher responsible and information about who to contact if there are any questions, comments, or concerns. So the researcher, the director of the lab, maybe the director of institutional research at the university. A statement that participation is voluntary and that participation can stop at any time for any reason without any penalty. So the subject can decide to stop participating in the study at any time without any penalty for any reason. Special considerations and procedures are made for so-called vulnerable populations. For example, a person with aphasia, a person with different impediments to their ability to protect their interests. Children, those with debilitating cognitive, physical, emotional, or mental disorders, prisoners, students, employees. I can't tell you as my student, you must participate in this study, because that would be like coercion. You would be scared, concerned that if you didn't participate in the study, your grade would be affected. So there's like that power dynamic between me and you, where you would be considered a vulnerable population and I couldn't require you or ask you to participate in my study because of the conflict of interest. Privacy and confidentiality are also addressed by the IRB. Privacy refers to an individual's ability to control when and under what conditions others will have access to their personal information. So aimed at preventing any unwanted intrusion. So files will be kept in a locked cabinet. Confidentiality refers to the ability of other people to tie specific information or data to a given individual. And this is related to the protection of the identity of a person. So instead of using a person's name on their data or their initials, you would have, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, and all data collected for Joe Smith would be 1. So in the locked file cabinet, you would have Joe Smith 1, and then all of the data for that person would be labeled 1 moving forward. There is the expectation that privacy and confidentiality will be maintained. Identifiable personal information may not be accessible or divulged to others without permission. Privacy and confidentiality are maintained by limiting access to data and personal information, coding and encrypting data so that identifying information is eliminated, like I said, 1, 2, 3. Reporting data in aggregate form, so reporting large groups of data, like reporting the data from 100 people at a time and not just specific data for individuals. Substituting surrogate names or for personal information.